A terrorist assaults and injures several, including children, with molotov cocktails at a walking event in support of the remaining Hamas-held hostages in Boulder, Colorado. Legacy media outlets like CNN, CBS, and The Washington Post are lambasted for dishonest news coverage, and Minnesota Governor Tim Walz calls on Democrats to change tactics by being meaner. I'm Tony Kinnett, host of the Daily Signal's Tony Kinnett Cast, syndicated nationally at 7 p.m. Eastern. It is Monday, June 2nd, 2025. This is the Daily Signal's top news in 10. The FBI is investigating a brutal terror attack in Boulder, Colorado, which took place Sunday afternoon. Multiple videos on social media show a suspect throwing at least one, perhaps two, incendiary devices at a crowd of people who gathered to express solidarity with the Israeli hostages held by Hamas in Gaza. Dan Bongino, the deputy director of the FBI, posted on X yesterday evening, "Our leadership team on the ground in Boulder will be updating you shortly on the attack. This act of terror is being investigated as an act of ideologically motivated violence based on the early information, the evidence, and the witness accounts. We will speak clearly on these incidents when the facts warrant it." Videos have since emerged of an individual by the name of Mohammed Soliman arrested by authorities in connection with the terror attack, shouting, quote, "End Zionists," and, quote, "Palestine is free." According to witnesses on the scene, Soliman apparently dressed up as a landscaper and then threw molotov cocktails at the group of people expressing solidarity with the hostages, including several children. At the time of recording this, we are unsure how many victims there were and what condition those victims are in. We will bring you those updates later today on the Tony Kinnett Cast, and first at dailysignal.com. Boulder Police Chief Steve Redfern, in office since September 24, released this statement right after the events took place.
Today I'm here to give you very preliminary information about an attack that occurred here in downtown Boulder at about 1:26 p.m. today. At that time, Boulder Dispatch received several calls to the county courthouse located at 1325 Pearl Street here in Boulder. The initial callers indicated that there was a man with a weapon and that people were being set on fire. The initial response by our officers, we were on scene very quickly. When we arrived, we encountered multiple victims that were injured with injuries consistent with burns and other injuries. While our officers and paramedics and fire department personnel got those victims quickly to the hospital, our officers were pointed out, a suspect was pointed out to our officers on the scene. Our officers immediately encountered that suspect who was taken into custody without incident. That suspect, who I'm not able to ID at this time, was taken to the hospital with some minor injuries as well. And there's a lot more we're investigating right now before I'm able to release information on that person. The scene itself is contained, but we have a large area here in downtown Boulder closed off right now. Businesses have been closed, and we have asked people to avoid the area. This area is not safe yet. We're dealing with a vehicle of interest. We're dealing with a large area that we are making sure it's safe before we allow people to come back into the scene. If your vehicle is here in the several block perimeter that we have, please follow our social media. We will announce when the roads are open and people can retrieve their vehicle as well. I appreciate everyone's patience as we work through this complex scene. What I will say lastly is this was a beautiful Sunday afternoon in downtown Boulder on Pearl Street, and this act is unacceptable. I hope you'll join me this evening as we're working through this investigation. We are working, I just came from the command post. We've got dozens and dozens of people here, our state, local, and federal partners, working through this to figure out exactly what happened. I ask for a little bit of patience as we do that, but also I ask that you join me in thinking about our victims, the families of those victims, and everyone involved in this tragedy. Our hearts go out to them, and we are going to do everything we can to work as hard as we can throughout the evening to provide more information and get answers for everyone.
He has since received criticism for saying, quote, "It's too early to speculate on a motive," end quote, given the rather obvious nature of the things the individual was shouting who threw the Molotov cocktails.
FBI is already calling it a targeted terror attack. Would you also refer to it as a terror attack?
So I've been in contact with our local FBI multiple times. We are in contact with them here. We are not calling it a terror attack at this point. Again, it's way too early to speculate motive.
Coverage from many of the legacy media outlets concerning the terror attack has been atrocious. CNN initially wrote that a man reportedly set people on fire in Boulder, Colorado, leaving multiple individuals injured. The city's police chief said, as people gathered for and then CNN put this in quotes, peaceful pro-Israeli demonstration. Not sure why they felt the need to suggest that perhaps peaceful was under question in this particular instance. The CNN article also said nothing about the individual who committed the attack and the things he was shouting before he threw the molotov cocktails. While multiple city, state, and federal officials, both on the right and the left, have openly called the event a targeted terrorist attack, outlets like BBC have suggested that there is yet a link to be confirmed between the individual's statements and attack and some type of targeted terror incident or goal. Perhaps the most atrocious coverage of this comes courtesy of CBS, whose headline read, "Attack at Boulder's Pearl Street Mall in Colorado burns several people, police say." Seth Fransman, the executive director of the Middle East Center for Reporting and Analysis, pointed out that CBS didn't even get to statements from witnesses suggesting that an individual attacked others with Molotov cocktails participating in a walk to remember the Israeli hostages who remain in Gaza until several paragraphs down in the article. Fransman points out that because this particular attack in the before, the during, and after was taken via several different angles on video that have been confirmed over on social media, it's exceptionally disingenuous of legacy media outlets to have covered this event with such kid gloves. False reports from CNN, BBC, and The Washington Post tried to claim over the weekend that at least 26 Palestinians were killed after Israeli forces opened fire near a Gaza aid distribution center. Security camera footage from the aid distribution site at the time of the alleged massacre has been released, and there was no shooting and no injuries. While CNN later removed some of the parts of their article which included the fraudulent accusations, the only update or correction they stated at the bottom of the article was, quote, "The story has been updated with additional developments." Shocking to some, the Washington Post actually reposted the article early Sunday afternoon, long after the story had been debunked, saying, quote, "At least 31 people were killed Sunday morning in southern Gaza, according to the Strip's health ministry, when Israeli troops opened fire on crowds making their way to collect aid," end quote. And lastly, Minnesota Governor Tim Walz and failed Democrat vice presidential candidate called on Democrats to change up their tactics by being meaner at a rally with the South Carolina Democrats. Check it out.
Called out on this because I called Donald Trump a wannabe dictator. It's because he is. It's because he is. Oh. The governor's being mean, and the governor's speaking out on that. Well, maybe it's time for us to be a little meaner. Maybe it's time for us to be a little more fierce. Because we have to ferociously push back on this. And again, I'll speak to my teacher colleagues in here. The thing that bothers a teacher more than anything is to watch a bully, to watch this bully and to stop it. And when it's a child, you talk to them and you tell them why bullying's wrong. But when it's adult like Donald Trump, you bully the shit out of him back. You push back.
This follows a new CNN poll showing that voters are not perhaps enthusiastic about the current Democrat strategy of yelling.
How Americans sort of see the parties. Which party is better described as the party with strong leaders? Look at this.
Wow.
16% of Americans say Democrats, 40% say that of the Republican Party. Now, overall, no party's doing great. Lots of Americans say neither of these qualities apply to either party. But look at how much worse off the Democrats are. A party that gets things done. Only 19% of Americans say that about the Democrats. 36% say it about the Republicans.
Before you go, head to the description and make sure you're subscribed to the Tony Kinnettcast. And join us tonight at 7 p.m. for a few additional updates on the breaking news stories of the day and a couple of announcements just for our listeners. I'm Tony Kinnett, and this has been the Daily Signal's Top News in 10. Take care.